Welcome back to another episode of my weekly meal prep. This week I'm sharing everything I meal prep to stay healthy during flu season. With immunity boosting ingredients and cozy comfort foods, all these recipes are vegetarian, simple to make and perfect for a busy week. Let's get started. First up, Turmeric-Ginger Shots. Thanks to AMZCHEF for sending me this juicer that I use to make the Turmeric-Ginger Shots. This juicer extracts every drop of juice while preserving all the nutrients. It's super efficient and setting it up was a breeze. I used fresh ginger and turmeric for their anti-inflammatory benefits and oranges and apples for vitamin C and a touch of sweetness. Once I prepared all the ingredients, I just had to feed them into the juicer and it did all the work for me. Even though I chopped everything into slightly larger chunks, the juicer handled everything effortlessly, leaving me with smooth, nutrient-rich juice. Then I added a pinch of black pepper to it. I don't know the science behind it, but I know turmeric should always be paired with black pepper. I took one shot fresh and poured the rest into a bottle to have every morning throughout the week. And because I don't like wasting any scraps, I mixed the leftover pulp with black pepper and put it into empty tea bags to make ginger turmeric tea. It's such a soothing drink, especially on cold days. Since turmeric stains everything yellow, I cleaned the juicer right away. Surprisingly, it was so convenient to clean as well. It came with this brush to get to the difficult spots and the juicer was clean within minutes. I've included the ingredient quantities and a link to the juicer in the description. You should definitely check it out. And while sipping on my ginger turmeric tea, I moved on to prep for dinner. I made roasted tomato soup packed with antioxidants from tomatoes and vitamin C from bell peppers, making it ideal for boosting immunity. I preheated my oven to 425 Fahrenheit and prepared my baking sheet. I halved about 8 Roma tomatoes and added a handful of cherry tomatoes, then added a chopped red bell peppers and a roughly chopped onion, and then finally my secret ingredient, an apple. Trust me, it's a game changer. It adds the perfect balance of sweetness and tartness to the soup. I drizzled everything with olive oil, sprinkled on some Italian seasonings and gave it a good stir. Then I added in chopped parsley on top and roasted everything for 40 minutes. While the oven was heating already, I decided to prep eggs for breakfast in the oven as well. I greased a small baking dish and poured in about 500 grams of liquid egg whites in it and seasoned them with paprika, salt and pepper. I gave it a light mix and popped it into the oven to bake for about 15 to 20 minutes. With both breakfast and dinner in the oven, I started preparing lunch, baked falafel salads. The night before, I soaked 2 cups of chickpeas. By morning, they had doubled in size. I drained them and prepped the other ingredients, chopped a bunch of parsley, about half a red onion, and a bunch of green onions, both the green and the white part of it, and a couple of garlic cloves. Ideally, you can just dump all of these ingredients into a food processor if you have a big one, but mine is very small, so I worked in batches and blended everything until it reached a coarse consistency. I transferred all the mixture to a bowl and add the remaining seasonings, including cumin powder, red chili powder, salt and pepper, lemon juice, a touch of olive oil and a bit of chickpea flour just for binding, and finally some baking soda. All the ingredients measurements are mentioned in the description below. After mixing everything, I shaped the dough into round falafels. To keep things mess-free, I sprayed my hands with a little bit of oil before forming the falafels. It also helps to get rid of that garlic smell from hands. I laid them all out on a foil-lined baking tray, sprayed them lightly with oil, and before popping them into the oven, I chilled the tray in the fridge for a few minutes. By this time, both the eggs and tomatoes were done. I left the eggs to cool down and started finishing the tomato soup. I transferred all the roasted tomatoes and veggies into a saucepan along with all the juices. I mashed them with a potato masher to release more juice, then blended them with a hand blender until it was smooth. The tomatoes released so much liquid that I didn't need to add any water or broth, but if you prefer a thinner consistency, feel free to add some. I left the soup to cool down and started working on the breakfast wraps. After the eggs had cooled down, I divided them into 4 equal portions. I used these whole wheat tortillas to make the wrap. I started with a layer of spinach. I was going to skip chopping the spinach but ended up tearing it by hands. It's a great shortcut. Then I added the egg whites and some canned black beans for fiber and extra protein. To keep the burritos from getting soggy, I skipped any additional sauces and used shredded Parmesan cheese for flavor. After rolling them tightly, I wrapped each one in aluminum foil for storage because I didn't trust my wraps to hold shape for the week. When I'm ready to eat it, I will just reheat them in the air fryer. They are so easy and delicious and keep me full for hours in the morning. By now the falafels were ready. I ate one fresh out of the oven. It was so good, but I burned my tongue from the heat. I let them cool down while I started assembling the salads. I added some of my go-to veggies, starting with a layer of chopped spinach, then red onions, cucumbers, radishes, bell peppers. I added the baked falafels on top and included some pickled cabbage as well, which I stored separately in a silicone mold to keep salads fresh. Finally, I garnished it with parsley. And then for the dressing, I whisked together 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, 1 tablespoon of olive oil, 1 teaspoon each of za'atar and sumac, and a teaspoon of pomegranate molasses. I add only a touch of dressing, so if you want more quantity, you can just double up the measurements. With that, my lunch was ready and all I had to do was store the soup into containers. I poured the soup into 4 mason jars and garnished with some fresh parsley. I'll pair the soup with a fresh tuna melt or grilled cheese for a warm, comforting dinner throughout the week. And that's my meal prep for the week. Thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe.